Hey everybody, welcome back to another Nature's Always Right episode. Today we're going to be building our very own either compost or worm compost tea brewer, or you can also use this for what I'm going to use it for, which is making a plant tea. So essentially there's two types of tea that you could make. You could make an aerated tea, which is usually worm castings or compost, and that's put into a tea bag, aerated in water. There's different other ingredients that people add. Be sure to check out my other videos that talk about how to make compost and worm tea and all about those subjects. This video will be all about how to build this vessel that you could use for aerated teas or fermented teas. Be sure to check out the following videos, how to actually make the plant tea. All right, let's go ahead and build it. And it's gonna be very easy to build. All I'm going to need is a 1 1/4 inch hole saw. I'm using all 3/4 inch PVC fittings, so a 3/4 inch valve, just a very small 3/4 inch piece of PVC, the good old Uniseal. This is a 3/4 inch Uniseal, which calls for the 1.25 inch hole saw. And what the Uniseal does is it allows for a watertight seal between two surfaces without using any sealant or glue. So I love these things. And I'm gonna put a link to the description for all the tools that I'm using. You're also gonna need a PVC cutter to make a cut. All that these things are doing is so that it's gonna give us a valve so that we can drain our juices out. And there's many ways that you could make this valve. I could have the valve coming out from here, but when you do that, a little bit leftover liquid is left in the bottom. But that's another great way to make a valve. It's another place you could do it. So the reason that I want it to come from the bottom, you'll see in a minute here, is because the table that I'm gonna put it on has a hole, and this valve's actually gonna fit inside of the hole for me. And then it'll be able to drain directly into a bucket down below, making for very easy collection. First, just gonna drill the hole for the Uniseal. Okay guys, so now we've got our hole. Now we'll place the Uniseal. I love these things, they're really easy to use. There we go. And none of this is going to require PVC glue to stay watertight. And on my greens bubbler video where I create a greens washing machine, I don't use any PVC, just the Uniseals, and it has a completely watertight seal with a valve and everything. Here's something else that you might want to get with your either compost tea setup or your plant tea setup. These are 5-gallon elastic top strainers. This is normally for paint buckets, but this is a really nice mesh tea bag for your compost tea or your worm casting tea. Or you put at the end, you'll strain your plant juice through this. Okay guys, so we're over at my table here. We're gonna set this up, and you can see there's already a hole here. We'll have the PVC go through, and then the valve will be right at the bottom of the PVC, and it'll just drain out into our bucket. Okay, so with your Uniseals, I was just having a problem sliding it through, so you just want to make sure that the pipe's completely clean. There was some dirt on there clogging it up, and then you could run a little bit of Vaseline on the pipe to help slide it through very easily. You can see I made it flush, so I thought this is now the low point, and all the water can flow to here. And it fits flush, and then down here is where we can attach our valve. Okay, that's nice and on there, and the valve's now closed, and that's it. Okay, so here's what it's gonna look like when I drain it. And there's one more possible thing I might add, which is just like a 1/4 inch mesh screen that I could put down here, and I could just use some hardware cloth, kind of like on my chicken coop right there. Cut a little square out, put down a brick on each side, and that would just help keep any larger chunks out. But what I plan to do when I drain this is it'll be fully open, and I'll have my paint strainer that I showed you earlier on the top of this bucket. So if any large chunks do come out, it'll get caught by the strainer, and no big deal at all. Then having the lid is very important because, as I said, that tea is very stinky. So I definitely want to have a lid that I can keep on there at all times. Keep it away from your neighbors or, yourself, so you don't have to smell it. But as long as there's a lid on there, it's fine. You never smell it. But yeah, this is just a really basic setup here for making teas for your plants. I'll show you guys how to do that in another video. And I'm going to be using comfrey and yarrow as my two plants to make my teas from. Yeah, you could also use this same style of bucket with worm teas, and that you could have your air stones pump air through a PVC with some holes in it, and that would create the aeration that you need to create your teas. So, a 20-gallon trash can is like a really great size for a large garden.